Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video I am going to be discussing, if you can't tell, there's kind of a chunk of books missing from where my books are, and today I'm going to be discussing the physical books that I have, which is quite a lot. I can't even lift them up, that I really want to read, that I own but have not yet read. And I think, like, to preface this, I used to obviously only read physical books, and then I got a Kindle when I was younger, and I kind of switched to just reading on my Kindle, and then I started reading on my iPad, and I've been reading on my iPad for years now, and I actually kind of find it hard to read physical books just because I do a lot of my reading at night time, so I just don't generally have like a big light on or anything, and it's just harder to hold a book, but that's just me being lazy. So that's why I have a lot of physical books though, because I do love physical books. Obviously they're beautiful, it's so great to have physical books, to highlight them. I just haven't read them yet, and oh, I am losing my voice a little bit. I have been a bit sick, so excuse that as well. But I have obviously wanted to read all these books, and they're ones that are more popular, I would say. These are definitely more mainstream queer-based books that I've seen on TikTok, on Instagram and stuff like that. I just haven't gotten around to reading them yet. So without further ado, let's get into it. I've got I don't know if I should even attempt this or they might hit me in the face, but got a stack of them going on. And that's not all of them, but these are all the physical books I own that I really want to get around to reading. And as I've said before in some of my vlogs, I don't own a lot of physical books. Well, I do, like, don't get me wrong, but I also don't own enough, like a library or anything, just because one, I don't have the space in my room, and two, I am moving at the end of the year / next year overseas, so I won't be able to ship a library full of books over to me. So I've kind of had to be really restrictive of what I've brought, even though there's so many books, especially books, that I would love to own, but that will happen when I move. It won't happen within this year. But these are a mix of books and sapphic books, just queer books in general. I have a few sapphic books in here I really want to read. Stop blabbering and let's get into it. How do I want to do this? There's so many books going on. Okay. The first book that I feel like so many people have read, my best friend, she's been hounding me to read this book for so long, and I have it and I really want to read it, and that is The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. This is such a popular book. I feel like if you don't know this book, I don't know, it's everywhere. It's kind of hard not to know this book, but this one is one I'm super excited to read, and this is based on Celia and Evelyn. I know that much. I know that I'm pretty sure it's from Evelyn's perspective, and she's a movie star, and I'm pretty sure it's like set in like the 50s, 1950s, and it's her going through her life and her different partners, and then obviously her and Celia's story. So I don't feel like I'm not explaining that the best way I could. Maybe I should read out the blurb. Let's do that actually, because I have physical books. I can read you guys the blurbs. Reclusive Hollywood movie icon Evelyn Hugo is finally ready to tell the truth about her glamorous and scandalous life. But when she chooses unknown magazine reporter Monique Grant for the job, no one is more astounded than Monique herself. Why her? Why now? Summoned to Evelyn's luxurious apartment, Monique listens in fascination as the actress tells her story. From making her way to Los Angeles in the 1950s, to her decision to leave show business in the 80s, and of course the 7 husbands along the way, Evelyn unpools a tale of ruthless ambition, unexpected friendship, and a great forbidden love. Monique begins to feel a very real connection to the legendary star, but as Evelyn's story nears its conclusion, it becomes clear that her life intersects with Monique's own in a tragic and irreversible way. So I'm really excited to read this. It is high on my priority list because I think my friend will kill me if I do not read this soon. But that is one that I have and that I'm very excited to get around to reading. Let's just continue actually with some of the sapphic books. Next one is another very popular one, and this is Delilah Green Doesn't Care. And this one is the first in, I believe, a 3-book series, maybe it'll be 4 books, by Ashley Herring Blake. And this one, oh, I didn't even say who this was by. Taylor Jenkins Reid's, if you guys don't know. And this book is, I believe, like a small town slight dislike to lovers. Again, I'm just going to read you guys the blurbs because it's easier than me trying to tell you about it. Delilah Green swore she would never go back to Bright Falls. Nothing is there for her but memories of a lonely childhood. Her life now is in New York, with her photography career finally gaining steam and her bed never empty. Sure, it's a different woman every night, but that's just fine as her. When Delilah's estranged stepsister pressures her into photographing her wedding, Delilah finds herself back in Bright Falls once more. She plans to breeze in and out, but then she sees Claire Sutherland, her sister's stuck-up bestie, and decides that maybe there's some fun and a little retribution to be had after all. As a busy single mother, Claire depends upon a life without surprises, and Delilah Green is an unwelcome surprise at first. But when they're forced together during the many wedding preparations, Claire isn't sure she has the strength to resist Delilah's charms. Even worse, she's starting to think she doesn't want to. So I'm very excited to read this as well. Another popular one, and then there's 2 more books in this series as well, which all look super fun. So I'm going to give that a go as well and see what it's like. It's more of like a rom-com romance-based book, I believe, whereas I feel like Seven Husbands is romance-based, but it's also more of a story-based book as well. Next, I have another book that is extremely popular, and I know I would love / I have actually started this one, but you guys know I don't do well with sad endings. I can't do it. I just can't prepare myself for it. I will cry like no tomorrow, even when just sad things happen in a book but there's a happy ending, and I know that this is a sad ending, so that's why I mainly have stopped reading it. And that is A Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller, which, can we just appreciate this cover? I love The Song of Achilles. Covers are so beautiful, truly, and I also know it's a good book. I'm about that much through it, and so I have started it and was really enjoying it. I just know how it ends, and I'm just not mentally prepared for that. So I might just read it until a certain point and then pretend the ending didn't happen. But if you guys aren't aware, here, let me read you guys the blurb for this one too. Greece in the Age of Heroes. And I always say this, I just cannot get this word out of my mouth. I don't know why. Patroclus. I just don't know why I can't say it. It's not a hard word, but it just does not flow out of my mouth. Patroclus, an awkward young prince, has been exiled to the court of King Peleus and his perfect son Achilles. Despite their differences, the boys develop a tender friendship, a bond which blossoms into something deeper as they grow into young men. But when Helen of Sparta is kidnapped, Achilles is dispatched to distant Troy to fulfill his destiny. Torn between love and fear for his friend, Patroclus follows, little knowing that the years that follow will test everything they hold dear. So that's A Song of Achilles. I own it. I started reading it. I need to finish it. I just need to put my emotion aside and be a big girl and read it. So yeah, if you guys have wondered if I've read it, I do own it and I do want to read it. Let's start with a new one I've gotten actually. This is The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. Erin Morgenstern. And this book is another one that I've seen for a while and I just haven't gotten around to reading. And Erin also is the author of The Night Circus, which I haven't read, but this one I do believe is queer. I think it is more obviously plot based than romance based, but I do believe it features an MM couple in it. So this is We Are All Stardust and Stories, when Zachary Rawlins stumbles across a mysterious book containing details from his own life amongst its pages. It leads him on a quest unlike any other. Following the clues inside, he is guided to a masquerade ball, a dangerous secret club, and finally to an ancient subterranean library. What Zachary finds in this curious place is more than just a buried home for books and their guardians. It is a place of lost cities and seas, lovers who pass notes across time, and of stories whispered by the dead. But when the library is threatened, Zachary must race through its twisting tunnels and sweetly soaked shores, searching for the end of his story. So it sounds really beautiful. The cover again is beautiful, and it has another cover that is stunning, and I have heard it is really good. So another one that I'm super excited to read as well, and one of my newer purchases. And then we have a book by TJ Klune, and this is Flashfire, which is the second book in his Extraordinary based series, which I've read the first book and then I got the second book in a physical copy, and the third book, Heatwave, is out as well. And this is a follow-on of Seth's story, Seth and Nick, and I loved these two in the first book. It is like TJ Klune's kind of comedy mixed in with superheroes, and it's really fun. It was a really great time reading the first one. Let me read you guys the blurb for this one. You can't really read this one though without reading the first one though. Things are heating up for the #1 superhero fanboy in Nova City in the stunning sequel to The Extraordinaries. Through bravery, charm, and an alarming amount of enthusiasm, Nick landed himself the superhero boyfriend of his dreams. Now, instead of just writing stories about him, Nick actually gets to kiss him. On the mouth, a lot. But having a superhero boyfriend isn't everything Nick thought it would be. He's still struggling to make peace with his own lack of extraordinary powers. When new extraordinaries begin arriving in Nova City, siblings who can manipulate smoke and ice, a mysterious hero can move objects with their mind, and a drag queen superhero with the best name and the most sequin costume anyone has ever had. It's up to Nick and his friends Seth, Gibby, and Jazz to determine who is virtuous and who is villainous. So I'm very excited to read this. Like I said, love the first book. I just love TJ Klune's writing. It's so much fun. Can't wait to read it. Another newer purchase of mine is Take A Bow, Noel Mitchell. This is by Tobias Madden. I just saw this at my bookshop, and then I saw it at another bookshop, and it was cheap, so I was like, okay, I'll give it a go. This is more, again, I think more of like a rom-com-y based book. It's Noah is in love, which is a huge problem because 1, his crush has no idea, 2, Noah only knows him as his gaming avatar, and 3, there's zero chance they'll ever meet in real life. So when Noah sees an opportunity to secretly meet his crush, he takes it, even though he'll have to join the cast of a local production of Chicago with his self-obsessed mother, even though he'll need to lie to his best and only friend, and even though he'll have to sing and dance in front of actual people, because love is worth the risk and what really could possibly go wrong. It just sounds like a sweet, fun little time. The reviews looked really good for it on Goodreads as well, so I'm going to give this a go kind of in between like fantasy books when I'm just looking for something lighter to read, and that's Take A Bow, Noel Mitchell. Also a beautiful cover as well. Next we have one that I was excited to read anyway, but now I'm super excited to read because I have watched The Last of Us, which if you guys haven't watched my vlogs, I absolutely adore that show with literally everything in me. I love it so much. It's fantastic. Please go watch it. It's incredible. It's very just everything I want in a good TV show, and it is over now, which is just honestly so upsetting. I don't know what I'm going to look forward to every week, but I do really want to make a video of books that are similar to The Last of Us, that mainly are MM or just queer in general. And this one, I actually saw someone make a TikTok kind of like that, and this was one of the books. So this is All That's Left in the World by Eric J. Brown, and this is an apocalyptic based book, and so I do want to make a video on that. So I already wanted to read this, but I definitely want to up this because now I've been kind of obsessed with the post-apocalyptic based scene, which I already loved in like Lily Main's books, her Monster series, but this is a bit different. It's not, I don't think, quite as fantasy based, besides the apocalyptic aspect obviously. But let me read you guys the blurb for this. Jamie and Andrew are strangers and 2 of the last people left alive. After a catastrophic event wipes out most of the population, Jamie finds himself alone in a cabin in the woods. He's learned to fear other desperate survivors, but when he meets the injured Andrew, Jamie is compelled to help. As they step out into this strange new world together, their friendship begins to feel like something more. Jamie and Andrew are hoping for safety, for shelter, for community, but ahead of them is a perilous journey through a world torn apart. They don't know what they'll find out there, but they may just find each other. I'm excited to see what the apocalyptic aspect of this is and how the world ends. I know that's kind of dark to say, but I always find it interesting in apocalyptic based books, movies, novels to see what it was that was the end. I always find that really interesting, and so I'm excited to see that, and then obviously see them find each other and go through this life together as well. And then we have I Kiss Sarah Wheeler by Casey McQuiston, which she's the author of Red, White and Royal Blue, which I absolutely adore. And she did have One Last Stop come out, but that didn't really sound quite up my alley, whereas I Kiss Sarah Wheeler did, and I am excited to give this a go. Again, another sapphic book that I've seen a lot of people love, and this one is set in high school as well. A month before graduating from Willow Grove Christian Academy, the principal's perfect daughter, prom queen Sarah Wheeler, kisses Chloe Green and vanishes. On a furious hunt for answers, Chloe discovers she's not the only one Sarah kissed. There's also Smith, Sarah's longtime sweetheart, and Rory, Sarah's bad boy neighbor with a crush. Thrown into an unlikely alliance, Chloe, Smith and Rory follow Sarah's trail of annoyingly cryptic clues, and Chloe starts to suspect that there might be more to this small town and to Sarah than she thought. So I think it's a bit mysterious, high school based, sapphic. I mean, what else can you ask for? I'm very excited to read this. And we have another one by TJ Klune, and this is Under the Whispering Door, which is, I believe, his newest release, and one I have been wanting to read for a while, and I finally got a physical copy of it. And this is like, gives me the same kind of vibe as House in the Cerulean Sea in terms of, I think there will be good undertones of life messages in there, kind of like A House in the Cerulean Sea. So this one says, welcome to Charon's Crossing. The tea is hot, the scones are fresh, and the dead are just passing through. When a reaper collects Wallace from what she claims is his funeral, he's outraged. But Hugo, owner of a peculiar tea shop, promises to help him cross over, and Wallace reluctantly accepts the truth. Yet even in death, he refuses to abandon his life, despite spending all of it working. And as Wallace grows closer to Hugo and shares jokes with his resident ghost, he wonders if he'd missed something. So when he's given 1 week to pass to the other side, Wallace sets about creating a lifetime in just 7 days. And then it says, an uplifting story about a life spent at the office and a death spent building a home. Oh, I can just tell I'm already going to be sobbing. That made me slightly just start tearing up. But as always, I love TJ Klune's writing. I love his books. He's able to make them very thought-provoking and emotional. And if it's anything like A House in the Cerulean Sea, I will love it. So again, another one I've been wanting to read for a while, and I'm very excited to get. And then we have an unexpected kind of. This is a classic book, and this is one I haven't read. I don't really enjoy classic books that much, to be honest. I've tried a few like Pride and Prejudice and some of Jane Austen's work and others, and I don't know, just not really my kind of stories. I just don't really find them that enjoyable. But this one I feel like I would enjoy, and this is Oscar Wilde's The Picture of Dorian Gray, which is a classic, and I have heard is pretty good in terms of classic books as well, and sounds like an interesting premise. I don't know how much romance is in it, but I do believe our MC is queer or gay or something. I believe. I might be mistaken, but I don't think so. So this one reads, I think just, it follows Dorian Gray, who, enthralled by his own exquisite portrait, exchanges his soul for eternal youth and beauty. Influenced by his friend Lord Henry Wotton, he is drawn into a corrupt double life, indulging his desires in secret, while remaining a gentleman in the eyes of polite society. Only his portrait bears the traces of his depravity. This definitive edition includes a selection of contemporary reviews, condemning the novel's immorality. So it sounds good. I'm going to give it a go. If I like this classic, I'll be really happy about that. And it did make one of my favourite YouTubers her top 10 books last year. So I'm hoping it's good. I should do these two together actually. So we have In Deeper Waters and Ever After by F.T. Lukens. And so these two books are set within the same world but are different stories. In Deeper Waters we have, let me read, it's over this way. Most princes would be eager for their coming of age tour, but Tal isn't most princes. He knows he can't partake in the adventure and debauchery his siblings enjoyed on their tours. Not one letting loose could mean accidentally revealing his forbidden magic and upending his kingdom's hard-won peace. But when his ship's crew rescues a mysterious prisoner from a burning vessel, just a few days into the journey, his world changes. Tal is surprised to feel an intense connection with the roguish Athlin. So when Athlin leaps overboard and disappears, Tal feels responsible and heartbroken, knowing that Athlin could not have survived in the open ocean. That is until Tal runs into Athlin days later on dry land, very much alive and as charming and secretive as ever. But before they can pursue anything further, Tal is kidnapped by pirates and held for ransom in a plot to reveal his rumored powers and instigate a war. Tal must escape if he hopes to save not only himself, but his family and the kingdom, and Athlin might just be his only hope. It sounds fantastic. It's probably the highest to be read on this list because, one, I just love the sound of it, and it also looks really good. And also the cover is so beautiful, and it's one of the hardbacks I own as well, which I love and I cherish so much. And then the second book in this series, although it's different people than the first book, is So This Is Ever After. And this one, I have started like a page of it and I already really love it, but I want to read them together. So this is, you've saved the kingdom, you've taken the throne, it's all a breeze from here, right? Wrong. Eric didn't think about what would happen after he fulfilled the prophecy. He's officially king of air, but only Eric and his mage, the devastatingly handsome Matt, know that the role comes with a catch. Marry by your 18th birthday or die. Eric gets 3 months to find his one true love and save his own life. But things go painfully and hilariously wrong until he discovers that love might have been in front of him all along. So I'm really excited to read this, but I definitely think I need to read In Deeper Waters first, just so I have an idea of who Eric is. But I am excited to read this, and I am excited to read this. And then there's another book by F.T. Lukens coming out. It's on the back of here, Spellbound, and that also looks really good. It's coming out a bit later in the year, I think, or around like May time. And so I want to read these two so I can read that as well. And these are ones that I'm definitely most excited for and sound very much like something I would enjoy. Lastly, we have two books that are new to my collection. This is the Priori, I don't know if it's Prairie or Priori, okay, I don't know. The Priori of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. Again, a very popular queer-based fantasy novel that a lot of people have read, and the second one has just come out, which is the prequel to this book as well. And I've been wanting to read this for a while. I mean, it's very big, so I have kind of just been putting it off, but I got the physical copy and I'm super excited to give this a read. This is a fantasy-based book, so a world divided, a queendom without an heir, an ancient enemy awakens. And from what I understand, this is based on the Wren, which are dragons, and it's kind of all different point of views and seeing how I believe the Wren are impacting them, which I know that's what the first book is the prequel of, and I believe obviously that is what happens in this book. It is about the dragons again, so another fantasy based book I'm really excited to read. And I know that there's multiple different queer relationships in this. There's sapphic relationships, there's relationships in here, there's all forms of relationships, which makes me really excited and really happy in such a popular fantasy book. So one, I can't wait to read. I just will probably need a little bit of time to read it. This book is A Strange and Stubborn Endurance by Fox Meadows, and this is one that I've had on my list of books I really wanted to read, and I found this in store, which was a big shock because I was definitely not expecting to find a physical copy of this here at all. And then I saw it and I had to get it, and this is like a political fantasy based book, and it is I believe. And this, I don't 100% have a blurb here to read for you, but from what I get, it is like a political fantasy based novel with queer romance, which, I mean, that sounds fantastic. And this book is one I've seen recommended a lot, and I'm super excited to get around to reading. So those are the physical books that I have and own that I haven't read yet, that I really want to get around to reading, that feature all forms of kind of queer relationships, and I'm very excited to read them all as well. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys are having a great day, a great night, whenever it is you get around to watching this. I'm so grateful and thankful you are here watching it. I appreciate you all so much. I hope you have a fantastic day, night, whenever it is you get around to watching this. Please let me know down below what your favourite books are out of any of these I've shown, if you've read them, and what you think I should read first. I'd be really interested to hear your opinions. Other than that, I will see you guys next time. Hope you all have a lovely week, and I'll see you then. Bye.